Welcome back, friends. Welcome back. We have an esteemed guest on our show today, Father Donald Kloster, and we are discussing this concept of safety. And we left off with, or picking up with, Thomas Aquinas. He is a sure guide in understanding natural law. Thomas states that there are basic human goods that are intrinsically flawed, and we both touched on this in the first episode, because as humans, we are born into a double darkness of sin and ignorance. Our intellect is dimmed, our will is weakened, and both are often ruled by unruly passions or emotions. So, according to Aquinas, there are 7 basic human goods, which can be listed. To me, this list seemed the most accessible. There are other lists available, but to me, I think the way this was listed, it seemed most accessible. They can be listed as life, shunning of ignorance, the seeking of God, reproduction, to live in society, avoiding offense, and to educate one's offspring. The understanding from natural law about these human goods helps us to make ethical decisions responsive to the dignity of man. So highlighting on those 7 goods, now we're going to pick out 2, at least to my mind, that seem to directly impinge on the notion of safety, is that we live in society and avoiding offense. And those human goods touch directly on the idea of safety. Justice is giving to another that which is due, which is his due. According to natural law, there are just, reasonable actions society can codify in law and customs to safeguard their populace. The Old Testament and New Testament have numerous instances of such codification. The Leviticus Code and Paul's relaxation of the Levitical Code to a few precepts is one such place. Paul in Romans 3:19-20 states that the purpose of the law is to provide a consciousness of sin and holding the world accountable to God. All have sinned, both Jew and Gentile. Paul further states at this point that he would not have known what sin was without the law. So the law has a very, it has a purpose. It has a purpose to safeguard those who live in society, and for helping to codify that which is due to another. Do you have thoughts on that, Father?
Yes, in relating this to safety or being safe, we must realize that St. Thomas Aquinas and all the saints really, what they safeguarded the most was our use of the sacraments in order to preserve us, in order to guard us, in order to get us past this life and into the life to come. So that really is your net, so to speak, if you want to say safety net. Again, there is no perfection here, and so we cannot put ourselves in at the mercy of the world, because the world will crush us every time. We have to be guarded by the supernatural graces that can get us to heaven.
That is correct. Excellent, excellent. At the Council of Jerusalem in 50 AD, recounted in Acts 15, Paul argues for the relaxation from the precepts of the Levitical Code with the life of grace. So Father and I, we didn't have time to coordinate. So he immediately talks about the sacraments, that life of grace that the sacramental life provides to us, given by Christ for us new Christians. Though the ceremonial aspects of the law are abrogated, the moral precepts are in effect, and as Jesus teaches, more demanding, because the advocate is given that sacramental life Father just zeroed in on, is given to those who follow Christ. Those who are given more, such as we who are baptized and confirmed into the church, more is expected. However, the further a person, and hence society, drifts from a virtuous life, a life of grace, the more onerous and burdensome the civil law becomes. Civil law tries to fill an impossible void, that of sanctifying grace given apart from Christ. Society holds out an illusion of safety, which ends up trampling upon man's dignity. And I think, do you have thoughts on that?
Yes. When I go back to New York in the 90s, it was a somewhat dangerous place. And then as Mayor Giuliani took over, he put basically almost a policeman on every corner. And I remember walking around New York in a formerly pretty shady area and seeing all these police everywhere. And I thanked a couple of them because they were giving us security in that moment. But again, that is very illusory and transitory, because as I said often in my poor parish in Guayaquil to the people, nobody can afford to put a policeman on every corner. I mean, you can in certain sections of the city, but it's just not feasible. So we have to rely on men of goodwill to conform to the sacramental life, and that way they're not as much of a threat to their fellow man. If everybody is living a sacramental life, then you basically have a lot more harmony. So that is the goal, because again, we can't police each other in ad infinitum. It's just not possible. We have to rely on people doing the right thing.
That's exactly right. And this notion that we can build a safe society outside of Christ is one of the tenets of a prevalent modern heresy of humanism, which many popes have taught against. And basically, it's that humanity can create a utopia without God. And as always, I have show notes. It's not quite a transcript of what we do, but I always, like I see I have an encyclical here to Pius IX's encyclical, Syllabus of Modern Errors. All of that can be found in the show notes if those care to avail themselves of that. One such clear denunciation is from Pius IX. Pius IX's Syllabus of Errors from 1864 clearly states these humanistic errors. Human reason without any reference whatsoever to God is the sole arbiter of truth and falsehood, and of good and evil. It is law to itself and suffices by its natural forces to secure the welfare of men and of nations. That is clearly denounced, that without that man alone can determine that which is good and evil. Number 4, all the truths of religion proceed from the innate strength of human reason. All truths, only from human reason. Hence, reason is the ultimate standard by which man can and ought to arrive at the knowledge of all truths of every kind. And that's from his encyclical Qui Pluribus, 1846. The further a person and society drifts from a true relationship with God as revealed by Christ, the more oppressive those that will to power become. Law, which is an ordinance of reason, becomes an ordinance of power. And I have seen many proposed good societal ideas, straws or face masks or climate change, use fake science. That's part of the things, one of the things I watch, is the use of fake science instead of reason to promote its propositions. With reason corrupted, discourse is impossible, and chaos, division are sure signs of the absence of grace. Humanism, which attempts to construct a moral code without Christ, gives rise to fear, chaos, and attempts to satisfy with increasing constraints of genuine freedom. And to my mind, that's definitely unsafe.
Yeah, so if we go back to these two words, and I actually heard a sermon last Wednesday at a solemn mass at St. Joseph's Norwalk. Father Lennox gave a great sermon on the word custodiat. Now, those two, the two that are used in the liturgy are securi and custodiat. Securi really means to free from danger. And of course, there is an aspect of safety in there, but it's a mistranslation to translate that as safety. But that word custodiat, that has a much more profound almost God hugging us to himself, protecting us, keeping us, guarding us. This custodiat is intrinsic to who we are as Catholics, staying in the fold, strength in numbers, the fact that the wolves want to separate us and kill us. They want to separate us out and then kill us off on our own. When we need to be custodiat with our Lord, we need to be in his bosom, we need to hear his voice. And if you know anything about sheep, sheep do not respond to another voice. And one of the other beautiful things about sheep, having worked with them in Switzerland, you pull up the fence posts between two flock of sheep and they will join automatically. The lead ewe will submit to the other lead ewe and they will become one group and they will all hear the voice of the shepherd. This is something that is not happening in Christian religion in general, and something that these secular ideas are seeking to break down. So we have this just explosion of different religions in the Christian faith, and more people think they know what God has in store for them, when unless you're joined to the vine and the one shepherd and the one flock, you have no clue what God is about. So again, we don't want to be safe. We want to be holy. We want to be part of the whole. We want to be in this security of the flock.
Excellent, excellent. All right, my friends. In the next episode, we're going to go straight into Father's expertise, the liturgy as teacher. To the next time, Fides et Ratio.